Everybody, welcome in. Welcome in. It's a big day. Listen to the music.
Come in.
Listen to the music. It's beautiful. I wrote this song for the special day today. Listen. That's me.
That's you?
Confession day. Yeah, that's me. I came up with that. I did all of it actually for the church.
Brother Green, I thought we talked about that I was going to be the one to make music for the church.
Why? Okay, well, you didn't make a song before me. I made the first song, so what is it now?
Okay, well, I didn't know it was like a race to see who can make
a song. It wasn't a race.
First.
I was just sort of like, like everyone I feel like was sort of sitting there and like wondering like, dang, is Brother Beard ever going to make a song? It's like the 6th service and there's no song. That's the vibe I felt from everybody, so I decided to go ahead and make one for Confession Day.
I know that Confession Day is a big deal in our church, and I know that we needed a song for it. Okay, I dropped the ball again. All right, I'm sorry I didn't get the song.
Well, I mean, don't be sorry to me. I mean, don't apologize to me. Just apologize to Gormu.
Apologize to Gormu. Yeah, no, I know.
In your own words, preaching to the choir, as they say. So, wait, that's not the word. It's practice what you preach is what I meant to say. Sorry, yeah. My bad.
These are terms that people use.
Yes, of course.
All right. Well, I will admit that the song is quite beautiful. It definitely. I hate to admit it.
Why do you hate to admit it?
Because I was supposed to be the church musician. I was supposed to be the one to fill us with music and joyous laughter and.
Explain one church that ever picks one guy to do their music.
The worship pastor. There are tons of churches.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that we can't both. We're not even doing worship. We're not even I'm not leading a band or anything. I just made a little MP3 and I threw it on the speakers. That doesn't make me the worship leader all of a sudden. I just made because I'm actually like more of a song. Maybe you're the worship leader and I'm like the songwriter. Like I actually make the music and you sort of just what's the word for it? You copy it. You copy it.
I copy the.
Yeah, you copy the music in front of the church. So you're like playing guitar and you're like, Confession Day.
I think that's just called performing a song. I don't think that's called like copying a song.
It's like you're making a what's the word? It's a copy. You're making a copy of the song. Like sometimes Post Malone will make a song and someone will go on YouTube and they'll make a copy of it and it'll be like a girl with a guitar.
Cover.
What? Cover what?
Cover. That's the word that you're thinking of.
What? What do you mean? Oh, I thought you were saying cover. Like some.
Oh, take cover?
I thought we were about to get attacked. you know?
There's a bomb. All right, can we move on, please?
Religious prosecution has been on the rise lately, is all I'll say.
That is true. We do need to be vigilant. There are people who are looking to drop bombs on us at any time. Once
truth bombs. But truth bombs. They're truth bombs. We call them
quote unquote, but we all know we're actually talking about real bombs.
No, what?
Because there are people that once they hear you're a follower of Gormu, they're going to be like, all right, well, I've got some grenades here.
They pull out grenades.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
all
crazy.
Right. Continue. What is Confession Day?
Well, thank you for asking, Brother Beard. Confession Day is a very special day. If you have watched some of our other services, you know that there is a holiday that has not happened yet called Gormu's Day. This is not Gormu's Day. Gormu's Day happens once a year, and it's a very special day, and it's Gormu's Day. Okay, this is Confession Day, and Confession Day is sort of like laundry day, in a sense.
Yeah.
You have a big buildup of sin, and sure, you're doing a little bit at a time as you can, and we're purging sin as fast as we can, or, at a moderate level every week. We don't want to over-bore people with confessions. But at a certain point, Gormu's sin bucket fills its limit, and we have to empty out that bucket. And so every once in a while, we have to have a confession day where we really look at a lot more than just a couple confessions and try to knock out a lot of people's sin, including our own, by kind of fully understanding that we are sinful little Gormites.
Yeah, because basically if you get to Gormu's Day and there's still a lot of sins that haven't been taken care of, then Gormu would be like, what the fuck are all these sins doing lying around? It would be like if you invited friends over to your house for a party and your laundry was just strewn all around the house and you hadn't bothered to do any cleaning. It'd be very disrespectful. So that's why we have to take these confession days to really purge a lot of sins. So that'll be the main focus of today's service.
Yeah, and it's not fun. None of this is fun. People like to be like, Confession Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's songs for it. Yes, confetti drops from the ceiling when we when we talk about Confession Day. But it is not.
Yeah.
There's nothing fun about purging people of their sin. It
And
is.
honestly, there's nothing fun about this whole podcast. I see a lot of people being like, this isn't entertaining. It's like, what? We're not here to entertain you. We're not.
Yeah.
You think that we're making this so that you can sit there and be like, wow, that was so entertaining. No, we're making this to convict you, to make you.
We're gonna convict you
feel-
so hard.
Yeah, really hard conviction. And we want you to feel bad about yourself.
Also, there's a lot of people that come to me and say, I am having such a fun time with the podcast and being entertained. And to that, I also say, we're not trying to entertain you. It's church. It's supposed to be boring and it's supposed to be like a real arduous path.
I think there
to
can.
enlightenment.
I think there can be jubilee that arises naturally, but I don't think that our goal is to be entertaining. I think
No.
sometimes obviously the both of us are very charismatic
Yeah.
individuals with
Yeah.
really bubbly personalities who are frankly very attractive. So that is obviously going to be entertaining to watch us to a certain extent.
Yeah,
But
and
if
we're
you're coming
entertained
here
by
to be
that, too.
entertained instead of coming here to praise Gormu, you have
Yeah.
your priorities in the wrong place.
Yeah.
That's basically what I'm trying to say.
You come here to have service. You come here to be enlightened, and you leave with jubilee, knowing that you engaged in fellowship. We do
you
have
might-
fun here, but we're not supposed to.
You might happen to have some fun just because we're so attractive, but you know that.
Yeah, you really keep driving home that point. I feel like we're starting to lose people. I see people in the audience like looking around, trying to see other people's reactions.
Hey, I'm not ashamed. I'm just not ashamed to admit that I am one of the sexiest priests.
What do you? Okay, that was weird. I think we should just get right to opening prayer. I'm excited to purge. You know.
Sounds good.
Let's get to it. So everyone, if you're new here, and let me give people a little bit of a rundown. If you're new here, you know, and it's your first time coming to the church doors, we welcome you in. We know it can be a little bit a lot, you know. Sometimes people walk in and they say, "Oh my gosh, there's so much going on." It's quite simple. We follow a religion called Gormism. We are the Fellowship Covenant. We are a church that worships our god Gormu. And, you know, that's basically all there is to it. And besides that, we just kick it back and have a good time. We have a lot of fun here. We do. We have a lot of fun
I
here.
feel like you're really contradicting yourself.
Oh, I don't know about that, Brother Beard. Anyways, if you're new here, again, I'm saying that again because I really want to make sure I tend to our little Gormite babies. Oh, they're so cute. Look at them.
All right, let's move on to opening prayer.
Okay, fine. If you've never done opening prayer, this is how it works. You put 2 fingers up, okay, to say praise be to Gormu, and every time we do prayer, you have to keep your eyes open. Every time you close your eyes, that is one, I don't want to say it. I don't want to bog down the mood. So just make sure you keep your eyes open, and then we don't even have to have the conversation, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Let's get right to it. Oh, dear Gormu, thank you for coming to us and bringing your seed into us this Sunday on Confession Day. I remember my first Confession Day. It started 10 minutes ago, and so far it's been pretty fun. You know, I made the first Gormism song for the church. I guess I'm sort of the... Oh, man, my eyes. I'm sort of the musical leader of the church in a sense. And anyways, if you could hit me back with another Gormu vision. It's been a while since I've last heard from you, and I was hoping maybe tonight we could hang out. Anyways, thanks, and hope I'll make sure. Let's try to have a good service. Praise be.
Praise be. That one was I was actually having a little bit of a struggle with that one, but I was able to keep my eyes open the whole time.
Maybe it was because I mentioned the stuff about the music. Do you think you're still upset about that?
No, I don't hold grudges. I'm a very forgiving person. Obviously, it's, you know, you did stab me in the back a little bit by just taking over the music when
I didn't take over the music. I made one 30-second song for a holiday.
I'm saying is you said I was going to be the music person, and then you... let's not focus on that. We got to get to confessions.
But first, Brother Beard, we have to tell people about our social presence, the best ways to grow the church. And of course, we have to do that in the fastest yet most efficient and informative way. And Gormu has been really upset with your performance lately, I heard through the grapevine. So let's try to make it nice and quick this time.
I just feel like, I don't know, I'm feeling very criticized this week for some reason.
I mean, it is confession day, so I don't understand why you're whining about me calling out your sin. It's sort of the day for that. Are you gonna get
So you're
mad
saying
at the Easter Bunny?
It's a sin that I sometimes like slip up my words when I'm mentioning the socials. All right, sorry.
I didn't say anything about it. Honestly, I like the way you do it, but I heard through the grapevine that someone else doesn't. So that's all I'm saying.
All right, well, sorry to the person you heard that from.
His name rhymes with Gormu.
I know what you're trying to say. Okay, I get it. All right, everyone. So,
Jeez, dude, you don't have to yell it. That doesn't make you faster at it.
yelling does make me faster. So, if you subscribe to the channel, you join the Inner Sanctum. That is how you become part of the Inner Sanctum of the Church of Gormu. If you want to become a part of the greater...
What is higher sanctum? Higher.
Fuck. If you want to become a part of the higher sanctum, then go to patreon.com/FC podcast. Give us $2 a month. This is your $2 tithe, which is required to be a Gormite. This is required. And you can access bonus episodes. We talk.
Wait, did you say it's required to pay for the Patreon
Yes,
to be a Gormite?
No, not to be a Gormite. It's just required to be a good person.
Okay.
You can also join the Twitter community, which is linked
No,
below.
tell them what
Also
you get from the Patreon. You didn't tell them.
You get a bonus episode, a bonus 30 minutes of us just chit-chatting.
I highlighted it in the document this time.
They get a bonus episode. If we join the Twitter community, which is linked below, follow us on Instagram, Fellowship Covenant. Follow us on TikTok, Fellowship Covenant Pod. We post TikToks all the time. And then follow and review us on Spotify because we need to become the most popular religious podcast in the world. We are under the comedy category right now for some reason, but we're trying to get changed to the religious category, obviously, because this is not a comedy. But the most important thing, give your $2 tithes to the Patreon.
Unfortunately, there's not a written song for that because we have a little bit of a... someone's been taking their time on it. Let's just say that.
Okay, well, I can improvise. I just improvised that song. I know that you have to write songs, but I'm able to just come up with songs on the fly.
Don't go there. We know we both have different strengths and weaknesses, okay? There's no need to bring that stuff up. You know what we do need to bring up, though, is that it's time for today's sermon. We have a quick sermon before we get to confessions because in the past week, Brother Beard and I were both struck with some pretty convicting verses, actually. And so I'm very excited for it. I think last week, I may have gone first. So I believe it's your turn to go first. Are you excited for this awesome verse that I heard from
I'm always
Gormu
excited
himself?
to hear from Gormu. All right, this verse comes from Gormu Mania 55. So this is actually the entire chapter of Gormu Mania. It says... Wrath is near, find cover, the end is nigh. So, this is obviously preaching about when people throw grenades at us because of being followers of Gormu. Okay. You have to find cover. You have to find a place to protect yourself from the grenades that people like to throw at us when we follow this religion. The wrath is near, meaning the wrath of the non-believers, the wrath of the people who say, that religion doesn't make any sense. Because honestly, being a Gormite is kind of the most oppressed type of person you can be. I don't want to... I mean, obviously I'm not denying that there are other types of oppression that exist. Obviously, people are oppressed for various reasons or whatever. But... all those other groups aren't constantly having grenades thrown at them, is what I'm trying to say. So when it says the end is nigh, it means the end of your life is probably nigh because there's only so many grenades you can dodge before you end up getting blown up. So, we need to teach people to stop throwing grenades at us. But unfortunately, we live in a sinful culture that really promotes grenades.
Okay, what is this thing with grenades? I've never had a grenade thrown at me because I'm a Gormite. Like, not once.
You've
and you
never
have
had a
them.
grenade. You've never had
No,
a
of
grenade
course
thrown
not.
at
Why
you?
would I ever have a grenade thrown at me?
I don't know. Maybe that's just a thing in
Does that
Australia.
happen often to you?
Yeah, this happens on a very regular basis.
And you every single time before they blow up, you grab them and get rid of them?
No, I find cover.
Oh, like the verse says.
Yeah, I have a lot of burns from the grenades under
my
my
gosh.
robes. You know.
Jeez, dude. I actually heard this verse while I was asleep one night. I started having a Gormu vision. I think it was one, though. Everything was very dark. I didn't actually see Gormu, and I didn't recognize the voice either. It was a very low voice. It was very rumbly and low-pitched, and it was sort of just like, the wrath is near, find cover, the end is not. But a lot scarier than that and darker. I don't know if it was from Gormu. It just seemed like it was kind of happenstance. But at the end, they did go, Gormu Mania 55. Kind of like a wrestling, like it was a wrestling promo, but it sounded like it was a book. So I threw it in there. Probably just nothing, though, I guess. Probably just Gormu messing with me.
Why would Gormu sound scary? Gormu doesn't have a scary voice. Gormu
Well, I
has
know,
an angelic
but sometimes
voice.
we make jokes. Sometimes we do bits, and he like makes funny voices. He hasn't made that one before. I don't know how he pulled that off, but everything was very red too, very red, unlike Gormu. But I don't know. There's nothing. Let's just move on. I don't know. Whatever.
What do you mean, whatever? This is very important. Were you visited by a dark force that gave you this? Maybe this is actually heresy that you have just caused me to preach.
Oh, what? I mean, come on. What do you mean?
Maybe Gormu doesn't actually want us to find cover. Maybe Gormu actually thinks we should just take the grenades to the face so that we can come and join him in his house when we die.
Oh my gosh, no, he would never
Maybe
ask
these
for
are dark
violence.
forces that are manipulating you into taking cover. Maybe I was wrong this whole time.
Take it easy. Take it easy. There's no
I can't
dark.
just take it easy. You've just told me that this verse might not be from Gormu.
I didn't
Why
say
do you keep bringing verses that aren't from Gormu?
Easy. Oh my gosh. Brother Beard, hey, relax, okay? There's nothing wrong. Everything's going to be okay, okay? Listen, in other religions, not every verse is a direct quote from the God. I didn't even say who said this verse. I don't know why you're saying every single verse has to. If it says Gormu says it, then Gormu.
Oh yeah, maybe this verse came from God. Maybe this verse came from demons. We don't know. If you went to a Christian church and they said, "Yeah, this verse, we think it might have come from demons, but we're gonna preach it anyway,"
because
people would be like,
they do.
What? I don't want to hear the demon preach.
They do preach. They preach quotes from Satan. They do, but they preach them, and I didn't say this in a positive way. This is just quotes I heard. Okay, this is still necessary. You don't think that in Gormu's Chronicle
I don't think you clearly don't understand how to preach, and you should not be putting demon verses into the Gormu Chronicle.
Well, you can't. You're jumping the shark over here. Okay?
I'm not jumping the shark.
This
is absolutely unacceptable. We are going to talk about this later.
Ugh, whatever. I don't even care. I don't even care about anything. I literally don't care about anything.
What has gotten into you today? You're just suddenly you don't care. You're like, these verses might be from demons. God,
it doesn't matter. That's what I'm saying.
It does. Of course it matters.
This is a history. We're writing a history book. We are the writers of a history book. And if I don't document that one of the two prophets of Gormism, had a vision and it was unique, of course I should write it down and share it.
You must have a different view of the holy texts. I believe that the holy texts have to come from Gormu. I guess you think, oh, if I just hear something, I'll just throw it in there. God.
Sometimes they did that in other religions that aren't Gormism.
Well, our religion is better, and we have to hold ourselves to standards of not just throwing in demon verses.
Okay,
right,
you're really
move on.
Okay, just
Here's
send me
your
verse.
fucking verse.
Oh,
Yeah,
no need to say words like that. That's just unnecessary. Guys, let's just jump in to the next part of the sermon. I really want to get to confessions. Let's just forget that all this happened. I'm going to preach today. I'm going to preach today from Griggle 44. Is that a word? I feel like I'm going to learn that this is like an Australian slur or something that you forced me to say.
No, it's not
a griggle.
I don't think so. Don't think so.
Okay.
This comes from Gormu.
Well, this is a verse from Griggle, chapter 4, verse 4. It is absolutely acceptable in the eyes of Gormu to buy a boat with church donations because boats are the perfect way to spread the homosexual agenda. Weird to say. Sorry. There's nothing sexier than a beefcake on a boat. And when men who are afflicted with opposite sex attraction seeing you... Sorry, I'm being convicted. And when men who are afflicted with opposite sex attraction see you riding by on your sexy ass boat, it will help them see the light and turn from their heterosexual ways. This is most pleasing in Gormu's eyes. Wow. That's from Griggle44. So guys, basically, this verse is saying a lot of interesting things. It's weaving in a lot of different metaphors, a lot of different nuanced topics. And what Gormu likes to do a lot is he likes to use words to metaphorically mean other things. And, you know, sometimes there are addendums to verses that, you know, end up trying to clarify specifics. But for this verse specifically, I do believe that a lot of these words are metaphors, you know. Boats are the way that we like to talk about fellowship in the church. You know, having a boat, okay, is something that no matter what happens, no matter how deep the water is, our fellowship floats above it. You know, it stays above those waves. It stays above the tsunamis and the hurricanes and the other water things.
How does it make sense that we're going to buy fellowship with church donations?
Buy is another metaphor for invest in. Invest in fellowship in your church, Brother Beard. And then the homosexual stuff is actually, that's literal. That is very literal.
So we need to invest in fellowship because that's the
because men, heterosexual men will see fellowship and they will be, some of them will. Personally, myself, I'm still struggling, but a lot of them will show up and, will become homosexual because they just find, the ways of Gormu so appealing. Personally, myself, I can't stop having sex with women, unfortunately, but, I'm constantly repenting to the Lord for all the sex with women I'm having and, making sure that he forgives me for my sin.
And I know someday you will realize that you were gay all along. It's just a matter of time.
I don't know. I don't know about that, Brother Beard. I don't know if I'd personally stand by that statement. I personally would not.
I'm not asking you to stand by it. I'm just giving this statement.
Yeah.
Someday you'll realize.
And for people
I'll know you'll come to the light eventually. And I'm just saying that I'm going to be here waiting with open arms.
Thank you. If that happens, thank you. I appreciate it. If people are new here, though, by the way, and don't know about one of the core beliefs of Gormism, it's that Gormu wants us to stop reproducing because he wants the world to slowly end in a natural, nonviolent way. So it is good to engage in homosexual activity because it is, it is not a gateway to reproduction. Even if you are having safe sex in a heterosexual relationship, it is still a gateway to heterosexual reproduction with other people. It is a lust-based thing, okay?
Yeah.
So,
and gateway drugs are still drugs, Let's just say it.
Yeah, exactly. So even if you're not having, heterosexual sex, you're still sinning at the end of the day. Personally, I'm sinning way too much.
It's okay to have heterosexual thoughts as long as you don't act on them.
Yeah, and I do, unfortunately, a lot, Brother Beard. But I'm working on it. I continue to confess my sins. Honestly, that is a big part of my confession today. I can't stop having sex with women. It's a big sin of mine, and I just wanted to say it to everybody.
Yeah, and I see that little sly look on your face like you're halfway bragging
while
talking about your sin.
Would I ever? How dare you?
I see through you, Brother Green.
How dare you? How dare you?
I see the little sly look on your face.
Gormu would hate that. Gormu would hate that.
I know he would, exactly.
No.
Okay, all I'm gonna say about this verse is my interpretation of it is that it is meant literally, that you literally should be able to buy boats.
Yeah, of course you do, because you bought a boat.
Well, yeah, no, it's just my interpretation of it.
I know we had a big fight off camera after last week's sermon and the last week's service because we did find out that you did use company money to try to rent,
which
do
this
monthly
verse
payments
clearly
on a boat.
says is in line with Gormu's will.
Yes. But we are out of money, so it's impossible.
Okay, we need to move past this and get to confessions. All I'm going to say is only one of us today brought a demon verse. So, do you want to listen to the interpretation
allegedly
from the person who brought the demon verse, or do you want to listen to the interpretation from the priest who has never brought any demon verses and only brings verses straight hot off the press from Gormu? So
could we throw in allegedly before you say stuff like that, because it's really damaging to my personal brand when you say stuff that's like not. We haven't even fact checked it yet.
I am going to allege that it's a demon verse.
Oh, whatever. Allegedly. Well, I allege that you're spewing bull crap out of your mouth right now.
All right, whatever. Move on.
Guys, let's just get to the frickin' point, okay? It's time for Confession Day! Confessions! Woo! Can they play some of my song again? Can you, hey?
We already listened to it once.
Play it one more time. Play it one more time. Play it one more. Do it. Okay. There it is. Hey! Okay, cut it off. He's getting mad. Cut it off. Okay. Guys, let's jump right into it. I have a whole hearty load of confessions to share with the congregation today, and so does Brother Beard, and I think you should start us off here today. I really do. I'm excited for today's confession, and I'm going to send it to you right now. This is the first one. And remember, everyone in the audience is going to get their turn, especially the Patreon episode where we're going to be doing even more today. It's going to be a very big confession day. But at least stick around right now because it's about to get freaking spicy in a very serious way.
Mm-hmm. We've got a big load of confessions, and we're going to drip a lot of seed into the load. And when you mix the seed with the load, forgiveness comes. All right.
Forgiveness comes.
Yep. It sure does.
Brother Beard, I am so excited to hear you talk about our first little Gormite confession. You know, it's not usual in the church that you just kind of tell everyone the confession, during confession time, but Gormu likes to keep everything out and open, or else you're not completely purging yourself of your sin, okay?
Yeah.
Wring it out like a towel.
All right, this confession has the title, Confession. So I think we're going to be talking about human sperm in this one, possibly. That's what I'm getting.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And just so you know, I've seen people make allegations that when we talk about Gormu's seed, we're talking about human sperm. These two things could not be less related with each other. So please don't, that is a...
Yeah, don't ever say that again.
That's not a good allegation to make, because we've talked about, raining Gormu's seed on everyone, and that obviously has nothing to do... That would be disgusting to imply that it has anything to do with male ejaculate.
Yep.
Okay. Here's the confession. To get directly to the point, sometimes when I come, I shit a little.
This is awesome. This is a great start in a very serious confession way, of course. This is great that we're purging very intense sin.
This brings me solemn joy.
Not that it's a sin to come a little when you shit. No, sorry. I got my wires twisted.
Yeah.
Would you rather come a little when you shit or shit a little when you come?
I think I would rather come a little when I
think that's the only answer.
Because I could just, aim downwards into the toilet,
I don't know anyone who would say that they'd want to shit when they come, which is the issue this person has.
Because usually when I'm shitting, there's a toilet involved. Usually when I'm coming, there's not always a toilet.
There's not always a toilet, And sometimes when you're shitting, there's also not a toilet in this case. And in some other people's cases. Not
if you shit a little when you come,
Yeah.
All right. This was never an issue until I did so when I was having sex with a partner. When I'm on my own, I can simply clean it up, wash my sheets, whatever. Needless to say, it was embarrassing.
Wait. Oh, so they literally do it every time. They say when I'm on my own, I can simply clean it up. So does it happen every time? It can't be every time, because then it's wash my sheets. It's are you coming on your bed without the idea that you might shit? Wouldn't you want to put a little towel down? Also, shit enough for it to come off your butt on the sheets.
Yeah, I will say sometimes when I come, my ass does leak a little bit. It's not
yeah, no, I mean when I this is, I don't know what we're gonna do about this episode. Anyways, sometimes your ass gets sweaty.
But
sometimes it gets sweaty.
Yeah, sweat. Yeah,
I get very sweaty ass when when
Yeah.
like. But I don't think it's because of the.
But it's
not.
not.
'Cause of the
It's not that I'm pooping. It's that
There's no poop.
This is very vulgar talk in a church.
Maybe in someone else's church, not here.
Needless to say, it was embarrassing. Even more shameful was how I decided to cover for my misendeavor. While we were having sex, I could feel the shit coming, and didn't have a chance to stop it. I panicked, and while my partner wasn't paying attention, since their back was turned to me...
I don't like this. Oh, no. No. I don't like it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Real? What the
I know
fuck?
I'm a prophet, but this is too much. If I was inside of the confession booth right now, I'd walk out.
No, we need to stick it through Gormu.
Okay, I'm sticking this through for.
us-
I'm sticking this through for Gormu and only
Gormu
Gormu.
wants us to forgive them.
Okay, just say it. Just do it. Just say it.
I panicked, and while my partner wasn't paying attention since their back was turned to me, I placed the shit near their asshole to make it seem like it was them who'd done it instead of me. What do you mean you placed it? Like it was like a little log, and you were like,
This doesn't make any sense.
to take the shit.
Also,
and
like,
place it
instead
on
of,
my
it's not
asshole.
like if you just saw a lone piece of shit, you'd assume it was you. You'd just touch your ass and be like, okay, I didn't shit. Let's look at your ass now. Oh, you shit?
And-
Cool.
And you're gonna convince someone that they shit, but they like didn't feel it.
Yeah, and then you're gonna like huddle over to the bathroom with shit all over your butt.
And you still have shit on yours. This is like literally what I was talking about in the chat episode of like pissing on your roommate's bed to make it look like. If this is actually true, this is fucking insane. I stopped thrusting once I'd finished, both moving the evidence and coming, and laid down on the bed next to my partner.
Okay, so
they rolled
This is
over.
a Gormite with a penis, I'm assuming. This is a Gormite with a penis.
Yeah, I think so.
And we're both Gormites with penises, full transparency to everybody. And so I guess they were thrust. It seems like they were. I'm just trying to make sure we get the story straight. It seems like we had the Gormite with the penis thrusting on top. We'll assume missionary for, story confessional sake. This is all just information.
No, I'm going to assume doggy style, because how would they have covertly got the shit under their partner's ass if the partner was looking at them?
Well, my partner... you might be right.
The partner would be looking at you, so you can't like take a shit and put it on their ass.
And then it says they stopped thrusting once I'd finish.
Yeah, I think it's in doggy style. I think they finished thrusting. So they're thrusting in doggy. They feel the shit coming. They take the shit, put it on the partner's ass, and then they finish.
Not on the partner's ass, next to it. We need like a diagram.
Oh, near the ass.
Well, because, so I'm trying to figure out the order, because it says I'd stopped thrusting once I'd finished. So both moving the evidence. So it seems like they finished. Partner wasn't paying attention. We'll assume doggy, because that would make sense why they'd have the back turned. Then, but then part of me is like, where did they place the shit near the asshole?
Yeah.
So then maybe they were doing a side by side.
That's what I'm thinking. Maybe it's a side by side.
Reach behind.
They're laying like spooning, like they're spooning doing it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. They're laying on their side, spooning, doing it. Take the shit, put it next to the ass. That's crazy that they were able to like sneakily do that.
And then partner rolls over, and then they have shit on their hand, of course. This can't have happened. There's too many things that would have to happen. It says
there's just shit on their fingers.
There's shit on their fingers. There's shit on their ass.
You just shit. And
oh my god, you shit! There's like full. Who could have done it? I don't know. This is the first I've seen of it. Full shit hand. Oh my god.
My fucking Christ. They were super embarrassed and immediately started apologizing profusely. I simply said I hadn't noticed that it wasn't a big deal. They cleaned it up and were still embarrassed for the rest of the day despite my reassurance. It's been a couple of weeks since the incident, and now I'm wondering if I should tell them that it was actually me.
I feel like they know it's you.
How could you not?
There's no way you could get away with it. It could be a little dry nugget of shit, maybe.
Yeah.
And then so maybe it was just a drop, but then your ass is sweaty because we know how it is when you're having, when you engage in this behavior. And so, it's like, the question is it possible for a dry nugget to come out in the act of intercourse and place it without, I mean,
And
this
also your partner not like realizing that they shit.
it also
I
like,
guess maybe if this is, they didn't say whether they were doing anal or not, because that would change the situation.
no, I think they would
Because
have.
if
They
they-
would for sure mention that if that was a part of the situation, right? Like that would be a huge thing to mention.
If they
we're
were
talking about
doing
poop.
anal, then it would be a lot easier to push it off on them. Like, oh yeah, some shit came out.
Yeah, I think they would have mentioned that. Well, okay, so it says at the top, it says sometimes when I come, I shit a little. So let's assume
Yeah.
that this happens, because the thing to me is like this is their partner, and so it's like if they're considering it their partner, like all of my weird like body related things, anyone who I was a partner with kind of like knew about all of that. It's like something that once you're familiar,
Like your night sweats.
yeah, well, completely unnecessary to bring that up to everybody. It is true. I do have bad night sweats, but I'm getting a new mattress. And Gormu is giving me a little mattress. Unfortunately, I mean fortunately. I don't know. I said unfortunately. I said okay. It was Freudian slip. I said unfortunately because it's one of the mattresses from his house. He says in his house, he just doesn't take care of the mattresses sometimes. It's a little bit of frat behavior, but we're gonna get it cleaned up. It's fine. Let's not talk about it. It was one vision. Yeah, sorry. Let's get back to it. Let's assume the story is completely real. If it is completely real, this is a big sin. This is a really big sin.
Yeah.
I personally, I think, well, you read this confession, so I want to know your thoughts initially, and I can tell you, if I co-sign you.
I think especially when you're in a sexual situation, any sort of like dishonesty is like can get very bad very quickly. I think that especially in that type of situation, you need to be extremely honest about what's going on, and it's not, definitely not cool to do this. If it is real, I'm having so much trouble understanding how it could be real. But
crazier things have happened.
if it's anal, then it makes a lot more sense that it's real. But this is definitely, I don't know how I would like categorize this. It's definitely like manipulative.
Yeah, I think if I was dating someone and like I accidentally shit the bed and then like 2 weeks later they were like, "Hey, remember when you shit the bed? Actually, I shit the bed and framed you because I was embarrassed." I think I would feel very like odd about that. It depends how like
that would feel like a weird betrayal for sure.
yeah, like there's being embarrassed about something, but then there's placing the embarrassment on someone else, which means that you're prioritizing your own comfortability over them, and that's like a big red flag.
And you're allowing them to like take the weight of the embarrassment. It's just purely selfish and purely prioritizing your needs over the needs of your partner, which is obviously
a big
in
no-no.
the long term. If that's something that you're doing on a regular basis, that's not going to lead to a good relationship. But I mean, they do realize it's a sin. I think they do realize that it was a bad thing to do. I'm wondering if I should tell. Do you think they should tell their partner that it was them?
I mean, if you plan on being with your partner for long term and you're serious about the relationship, I think you should tell them immediately. But if you don't really care, it's like a little fling. Let them think they shit the bed, but you still sin. You still.
No, I don't think your honesty. I don't think your honesty should be dependent on how long term the relationship is. That can be co-signed.
Who even cares? Who even cares? No,
man,
of course.
you're having a very cavalier attitude.
Oh, I was just having a fun little time. Listen, I think no matter what, you got to tell the person if you want us to forgive you.
Yeah.
If you are so embarrassed that it's gonna kill you, then that's an issue. You should probably get a therapist in general. So I'd say get a therapist if you can't tell them. If you can't tell them, if you're able to tell them, then we'll forgive you.
Yeah, if you're like so embarrassed that it's debilitating you that you like can't be honest with your partner, then you might not be in a good place to be in a relationship right now.
Yeah.
Because, I feel like the bedrock of a relationship is honesty. So if you're in a place where you feel like you just can't be honest because you have this shit trauma, maybe go to therapy and, try to be in a relationship when you feel like you can be honest.
Yeah. Gormu just told me a joke, by the way. He said, I've seen red flags in a relationship, but I've never seen a brown one. a brown flag. I guess it's like.
Did Gormu actually give you that, or did you just come up with that?
Well, he said I got a feeling of something, and he gave me like the vibe of that sort of joke, and so I just decided to improv.
I feel like if you come up with a joke, you can just say the joke. I probably would have laughed.
I didn't say the joke. That was not my joke. That was Gormu's joke. I'm not going to take credit from an artist. I'm not that kind of guy, personally.
All right. I didn't know you could have Gormu visions on the fly like that, but...
Well, okay. Let's
that was
get
very
on
funny,
to the next
Gormu.
one.
That's really funny.
Very
Brown
funny.
flag, red flag. That was
brown
really funny.
flag. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get on to the next one. Okay. I've got a very interesting one here. It's called A Killer Excuse, and we do have to issue a trigger. This is our first trigger warning. It's a very heavy confession.
This is a very triggering episode.
There's nothing about confessions that is supposed
also,
to be fun.
trigger warning for the last confession that you just watched. Trigger warning.
You can't do a post trigger warning. That's
you can.
Thing.
I'm just gonna warn you that you might be triggered by what you just listened to. So just be careful.
Well, they'll have already been triggered by the shit if you are saying this now. It's too late. You can't just tell them that they might be triggered. They'll know.
I'm just letting them know to be on the lookout. Maybe they got triggered and didn't realize it. I just wanted to let you know you might be triggered by what you just heard.
Okay. Well, you might be triggered by what you're about to hear. We're going to issue a trigger warning for suicide. That's a hefty word to say during confessions. Listen, I don't know how we got here, but I assume that this is necessary, or else Sister Sid wouldn't have left it in. If it felt unnecessary and you're upset about the fact that we're talking about this, it is Sister Sid's fault. We had nothing to do with it. We pay her to gather up your confessions and give us the ones that are going to yield us the best results. Not in terms of performance or anything, in terms of, purging the most sin. Because purging sin here ends up actually purging sin in the real world. Because people can relate to those stories and know how they should, repent and forgive themselves. Mm-hmm. Let's move on. A killer excuse. So basically, about 4 years ago, I only have a smile on my face because I'm happy to be with you, Brother Beard. No smile anymore. About 4 years ago, a family member committed suicide around the fall. I was close with him, but not that close. But to my past mental health problems, this really affected me. Of course, I took a few days off from school, so pretty much all my friends knew what happened. But every year since his death, I always used his passing as an excuse to get out of something. For example, a test, homework, work, or something else. But I never use it on the right day. Oh my god. So are they saying that...
So they're using it on like the anniversary.
Yeah, they're saying that it's the anniversary of their brothers.
A year ago, my bestest friend in the whole world.
Or it wasn't a brother, it was a family member. Yeah, okay.
Oh, family member.
So every year they're like, oh, my cousin or whatever.
This is
really...
This is like when you go to a restaurant and you say, yeah, it's my birthday today.
But the worst version of it.
Like the worst possible version. It's like, yeah, it's been my birthday 12 times this year.
But I never used it on the right day. Last year I used the excuse around 3 times. Once in November and twice in October. This year I used it as an excuse on why I started crying in class instead of admitting I just didn't know how to solve a problem. This is really sad, actually.
Yeah, this is
like the saddest confession we've ever read. Honestly, I don't remember what day he died. I'm too scared to ask my parents when he died since they tried to ignore his death, so I can't even respect him on the correct day he died. It of course still does hurt me thinking about his death, but I'm definitely taking advantage of it. Jeez, Gormu, Lord.
That's rough.
God, what a weird confession day. This confession
Uh,
day. Wow. What do you think? Why don't I'm gonna hand the baton off to you.
how
I think you
about
should
you
talk.
hand it back to yourself since you're the one who read this?
I'm just my mouth is tired from talking so much. Listen, I personally think you. I don't think you sinned. I think you can do this as much as you want. I do. I mean, listen. They went through something I didn't go through. I'm not gonna tell them how to handle their grief. Maybe this is a
Uh-huh.
maybe this is sort of a but they do admit to themselves that they are taking advantage of it and not
Yeah.
as a form
I
of grief.
feel like I feel like there could be one scenario where it has caused you a lot more trauma than you like realize on the surface, and so because there's been times where past traumatic experiences I've gone through can kind of come to the surface in
Yeah.
unexpected times. But I mean, if you
It seems like they understand that this is not
if you
affected
are
by
if you're blatantly admitting that you are taking advantage of it, so that means you've like realized with yourself that you are doing this in a dishonest way, then it is kind of taking advantage of like the death of someone, which is not a great thing to do. I think if you were like why do I always feel like I'm being traumatized by this thing that I wasn't
yeah.
even that close to them. Because I think that could be something that happens, that something could be really traumatic even if you weren't like super close with them.
Yeah.
But I feel like once you get to the point where you've straight up admitted that you are taking
Yeah,
advantage
that you're
of
just
it,
using
that's
it
when it's yeah.
whenever it's helpful for you. It's not a super great thing. I think personally, I can forgive it because it is something. I mean, you did take a few days off from school. It seemed like it was a close enough family member where it like was important and your friends knew
Uh-huh.
about it. So I think that you should be forgiven as long as you just stop doing it. Unless it's like a
Yeah,
legitimate reason.
I think that I agree with what you said, that people can deal with their trauma in different ways. And I feel like you shouldn't feel guilty if even years after something like this happens, you still are feeling really traumatized by it and
Yeah.
it's like affecting your everyday life. I don't think that's something to feel bad about,
Yeah.
but I do think it's not okay to lie about it because that can trivialize the people who actually do go through that, where they are like feeling very traumatized by something. So that's, I don't know, I'd say that's pretty disrespectful to people who actually are dealing with like a lot of PTSD from things, to like fake PTSD.
Yeah, that's very true. Listen, guys, I was kidding back then when I said that thing about how I don't think they did anything wrong. That was a joke. The more I've learned,
I
the more I've
feel like
listened.
every time I let you start, you're like, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, just do it.
Well, the more you explained it, I was like, yeah, that's like really shitty. Like that's pretty like bad. But I think it's like, especially if it's smaller things, like the reasoning is kind of like scummy. Like I would rather someone say that they just made up that like they're sick, or they made up that, you know,
Well, I wish that society in general would give people more of like leeway if they are
yeah.
dealing with mental health issues. I feel like society really devalues if someone's having a mental health episode. Someone can't just be like, "Hey, I can't really come to school today. I need to take a mental health day."
Yeah.
Like schools will only allow you to stay home if you're like physically sick, but not like to take care of your mental health. So then that can push people into boxes where they feel like
Yeah.
they need to do something like this. They need to have some justification when maybe they're just having a poor mental health day. So I do think there's also the element of society that like plays a role in this as well.
Oh, well, I actually think society has just gotten too soft. Mental health days are for losers.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the same thing where it's like if you like sprain your leg and you can't make it to work, they'll obviously let you take off work. But if you're going through like a severe like issue with your mental health, and some people don't like to equate physical and mental health, and usually those are people who don't deal with mental health issues and don't understand that it's real because they haven't experienced them themselves. But obviously everyone experiences issues with physical health because it's much more noticeable. I think that there's like everyone experiences something with mental health, but it's very easy to go through life and be like, this is normal. I'm supposed to feel this way, and I'm gonna mask it because people who don't do that are soft and they're losers.
Yeah, as much as it's the typical leftist thing to say, it all ties back to capitalism because, capitalists don't want their workers to be able to take time off for mental health. They want their workers to take off as little time as possible, so they have to program society to, call people weak snowflakes whenever they need to take time to focus on themselves, because the more we allow people to take time off to focus on themselves, the less they're slaves under capitalism, so.
And Gormu hates capitalism. He hates that
Oh yeah,
shit.
he hates. He does. Yeah, he does hate capitalism.
Yeah.
He does like taking money from the congregation and spending that to buy boats.
But that's the means of
honestly,
his own production. It's the means of his own
Yeah.
production. He's the one
Yeah,
that
that's,
created all of this. He's the creator of all of us. So he literally should own everything we have because I
That's true.
personally
He
believe
created. Yeah, we are all the means
we're
of
the means of his
Gormu's production.
So we should give him basically everything we have because it's
You can almost say we're the means of Gormu's reproduction. Because he is spreading his seed.
Yeah.
But not in a sexual way.
That's the thing that I think a lot of churches miss out on. A lot of churches that surround themselves with capitalistic ideas is that at the end of the day, we literally have this thing in most religions. I won't name specific ones because we keep getting letters from the heads of certain religions that start with the letter C that are telling us that we're saying we're starting beef with them or something. I don't care about that stuff. Personally, I've seen in other religions that it is a very important thing to tithe and give certain percentages of your wealth as a community to help grow something. But then it seems like the actual church wants its members to participate as a community financially, but the church itself doesn't actually give enough back to the community a lot of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, they have an idea that we shouldn't have the state be taking people's money. We should have people be willingly giving money to our church so then we can choose what to do with it. And I think a lot of that times that just comes down to them wanting the power to decide how money is spent. They don't want to have to give money to the state because then the state might give it to help gay people or something.
Yeah, exactly. And we wouldn't want that. But, it's okay when our normal taxes go to it. But then when you walk into a building that considers themselves spiritual, and that's not to say that we're not going to take advantage of the system ourselves at some point. Of course, we want to dismantle it, but from the inside out. So we are going to take advantage of it so we can grow the church as big as we can and then take down the system and, start paying our fair share.
And that's why we have to buy extravagant things like boats and cars and fancy houses to show that, we're part of the system and so we can take it down. So actually, when you give us money and I buy a boat with it, it's actually a communism boat. So don't think about it too much. Just move on to the next.
Okay, let's just move on to the next confession. I know this is confession day and we're only really going to get through 3 or 4, but they are big chunky confessions. I confessed earlier today. You, of course, had to confess multiple times, didn't do the song, bought the boat, etc., yelled at me about
the boat
demon
was
stuff.
In line with Gormu's.
Yada, yada, yada.
The song I agree with.
Let's move on to the next one. I just sent it to you. Another confession for this confession day. I love all the people in the audience are looking so... You guys look so... You're glowing right now. I can tell everybody has... A Gormu seed has sucked the sin out of them like a vacuum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're looking very dry, looking very, honestly, ghostly. How to lose a guy in 10 notes. One time when I was around 9 or 10, I went to a new school for grade 4. Before this, I had no friends whatsoever, so my perception of what was normal in public and what wasn't was... so my perception of what was normal in public and what wasn't was very accurate. Maybe they're saying wasn't very accurate?
It was? It has to be wasn't. What my perception of what was normal in public and what wasn't very accurate. There's too many, there's too many opposites going on.
Too much of the word was. Okay. They're saying they didn't have many friends, so they didn't understand what was normal in public.
Yeah.
A month in, I finally made some friends. A and B. They like
Weird
this guy
names.
named C, so we're giving the people names that are letters.
Couldn't we just
So
have
I
given them
decided
fake normal person names? Why do they have to be A, B, and C?
maybe their names are actually A, B, and C.
Oh, okay,
We
yeah.
can't know for sure. So I decided I was going to pretend to. So they like this guy named C, so I pretended I was going to like him too. They then decided to start competing over who C was going to like most.
Ooh.
And I decided to make it my life mission to make it me. So a little bit of competitiveness with your friends, which feels a bit unnecessary, but of course children are very competitive. However, having no social skills and watching exclusively Yandeer Simulator gameplay videos on my dad's phone, this later proved to not be a good idea. So I decided to make a plan to eliminate both of my friends in order to get access to C, which I thought was completely normal at the time. Eliminate both of them? Do you mean like stop being friends with them, or?
Also, for people who don't know, I just looked it up, and Yandere Simulator is a stealth game. It's like an anime dating game, kind of. It's got that vibe, and it's like a stealth game about stalking a boy and secretly eliminating anyone who seems interested in him while maintaining the image of an innocent schoolgirl. This is the plot of the game.
We've all lived through we've all had our Yandeer Simulator phase,
Yeah,
you know?
come on.
Some people go through a Ho phase, some people go through a Yandeer Simulator phase.
It's the same thing. Not the same exact thing. It's just the same. It's a phase that you have to get through in order to become a little more enlightened.
It's a phase where
in
you
your life.
eliminate other competition.
It's
So obviously my first idea was to leave terrorizing notes in my friends' bags and sign them with C's name to make them scared of him, so his only option would be me. However, my handwriting would be too obvious, so I spent days on end stealing his papers and learning how to replicate his handwriting.
whoa. This is really bad.
This is some Machiavellian shit going on.
Yeah, this is actually evil and weird. I mean,
yeah, this is
this was like 5th grade also, by the way. So like weird time in your life. Also an interesting thing when I hear people talk about like boy and girl stuff and like romance stuff in elementary school. I call it boy and girl stuff. Everyone's heterosexual in elementary school, and as everyone knows, once you get out of that, forget I said any of that. I had a little bit of a brain scramble. I was thinking
we
about
don't
something
need to
else.
be thinking about the sexuality of children.
I didn't. You shouldn't have said it like that. When I was in 5th grade, I think 5th grade was when I had my first crush, but I emailed her and then she turned me down over email. But I never like I wasn't like romantically like attracted to women until later in my fifth grade. I was but a young man who didn't really have any vision of what he liked.
When I was 13, that was when I had my first big crush on a girl, and I remember like I got so anxious to call her on the phone, and I was just like so excited to call her, and I like remember walking around my backyard with like the phone, like talking to her, and I was so
Like,
happy.
You're a businessman, like pacing back and forth.
Hello. But I think I only talked to her like once or twice like that, and then she ended up going for this other guy. Anyway.
Sorry. We're not purging enough sin. Get back to it.
So they spent days stealing his papers and learning how to replicate his handwriting. I then wrote threatening notes to all of my friends and me so they wouldn't suspect it was me all along. So you're like trying to convince everyone in the school that he's like a bully or like a school threat?
Yeah, this is effed up. Also, like crazy for a 9 or 10-year-old to do all of this. This is like mastermind evil shit.
Yeah, this is like a red flag. Like when you find out that kids are like, you know, like torturing animals or something, and you're like, this is a red flag.
That's why you gotta stop having kids. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. If you have anyone who's listening, if you ever have a kid, they're gonna do this. They're gonna at some point. A ended up crying in terror the first time she found one of them, but I managed to calm her down before she told anyone. I then made a fake Roblox account in his name, but it was short-lived as none of my friends would accept the friend request. This, however, spiraled out of control when B wouldn't believe it was C since I swore up and down it wasn't him.
Wait, what?
So you made a fake note from C, gave it to B, and then convinced B that it didn't come from C?
Yeah, what?
I found out B's address under the pretense of coming
Why is this
over
kid
for a
so
play
evil?
date.
What the hell is going on? This is why I never want to have any children, and why I won't, because, you know, I'm a Gormite, of course, and Gormites can't have kids, but...
That is something I've thought about. Like, what if you just raised, like, the worst psychopath in the world, and, like, completely out of your control, they're just an absolutely horrible human being.
That's like a big,
Imagine
that's
just
like
having to be
genuinely
like-
a fear of mine, though. Like, I don't know if that's rude to say, that I hope my child doesn't come out evil, but there are just, like...
I think that's a legitimate fear.
Like, there's nature and nurture, and there's ways to, like, raise your child correctly, but there's some... I'm sure there are a lot, like, not a lot, but, like, when you look at how many people there are in the world, there are probably instances where... A lot of instances where there's things that are just... No matter how you raise your kid, it is a part of their, you know, genetic build that they're going to have certain traits, right? And be a certain way. I don't know how biology works or genetics. I'm acting like I'm a scientist. We don't believe in science.
Yeah, and, like, obviously there's a lot of stigma around, like, being a psychopath. But, you know, psychopathy is a genuine, like, mental disorder.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, that doesn't mean it justifies the actions that people take if they're a psychopath.
It's the same.
But you can't control whether or not your child is a psychopath, and then what if they are? And you know, that's
is that
just
problematic to say that you don't want your kid to be a psychopath? I'm not saying that I don't want my kid to be a psychopath, but is it problematic?
I don't think it's. I think it's. I don't.
I'm like just trying to give you nuanced topics to tell me what. Like, I'm not taking a part of this conversation. I'm
What
just
do you
asking.
think?
I don't really
You
want to.
give your
I don't really
take
want
on
to
these
say. I don't really. It is. It's
I
an
don't think it's
interesting
problematic to say that you hope your kid's like a good person who doesn't like hurt people.
Yeah.
But I think the stigma comes from assuming that just because someone's a psychopath,
They're gonna
that
let
means
go
that they're gonna hurt people.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem where the stigma comes from.
Exactly. So I hope my kid. I think it's okay to say I hope my kid isn't a psychopath that hurts people without my own.
If my kid is a psychopath, I hope they don't hurt anyone.
Yeah, but I will still love them as long as they don't spiral out of control and hurt any. This is a bad conversation. Let's just continue talking about whatever this is.
Okay, I found out B's address under the pretense of coming over for a play date, and then a few months later put one of said notes into her mailbox. And upon discovering it, B and A's parents decided to tell the principal about said harassment. He ended up getting suspended because the handwriting was too similar to his, in addition to being signed.
Wow. That's bad.
A then ended up trying to baptize me against my will in the school bathroom.
Why?
Big.
Wow. This is such a random
left turn out of nowhere. Yeah.
Continue. I want you to read the rest of the sentence.
Tried to baptize me against my will in the school bathroom because I said I watched PewDiePie. So I feel like she unknowingly made it even worse.
Who are you friends with? And who are you? Who are these people? All these freaks.
Kids are fucking evil.
That's what
I
I'm
mean,
saying.
I do think that a lot of times children haven't, because their brains aren't fully developed, they haven't really fully developed the capacity for empathy or for like understanding that actions have consequences. So there can be children who just do the most horrible things and don't even quite realize how terrible they are.
No, that like genuinely worries me that my kid will end up being like a kid from one of those stories where like, you know, because I hear stories about children all the time doing the grossest shit. They're all like teenage boys especially, like they're all horny and they're dirty and like they do like the most outlandish shit. And I know how weird I was as a teenage boy, and I would never want a son like me as a teenage boy, right? Like, no offense, but I was not. I
as a teenage boy did dumb shit. You know, I think pretty much everyone does dumb shit at some point.
Yeah, but anyways, let's finish this one up.
No one ever found out it was me, but C ended up never liking me, and I moved at the end of the school year. I never even liked this guy.
Wow.
Yeah, why did you think that, like, traumatizing this dude and making everyone think he's a horrible person was gonna somehow lead to having him like you? I guess you think maybe you can, like, isolate him, like, no one else will be your friend, but I will, because everyone thinks that
Everyone thinks you're a little
a
freak.
psychopath.
So the logistics of it only makes sense because they were 9 years old, and so like of course there's gonna be of course you're gonna do stupid shit and not really have a good reason for it. But that doesn't, as we've talked about before, a lot of our confessions come from stories when Gormites were children, and we need to start, talking about them in a way that doesn't. We don't want to infantilize Gormites. I don't want to be like, just because you're 9
Yeah,
or
don't
10.
infantilize children who are infants.
I just don't want to infantilize these kids. Like I don't.
Yeah, these kids are fully grown adults.
Yeah. In Gormu's church, we need to treat it. You don't go in the little confession booth and say, "Oh, my name is blah blah blah, and I'm 10." I'm not Catholic, so I don't know how. I've never done real confession.
Yeah, would a priest ever
Catholic
say
confession.
like it's okay to sin because you're a child? No.
No, he'd say do 10 Hail Marys, and just like that. I personally think like we can't just throw out Hail Marys, whatever. Oh, go make a wish to the confession fairy and you're forgiven. No, you need to give us your confession.
Well, we have told people to do Hail Gormus before.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot. I don't know what was that. Anyways, I was gonna say this is really bad. I don't know what you could do at this point to at least purge yourself of this sin, because this is a sin that is stuck in you like a stake in a vampire's heart. Like this sin has carried you to a point where I don't know what you can do to get rid of it.
This is one of those things where it doesn't feel like a mistake or like you didn't understand. Like it feels, I don't know, it feels like, from what I'm reading, it feels like a really negative reflection on your character as a human being. I mean, that's pretty harsh to say, but
yeah.
I mean, hopefully you grew out of it and you just had a crazy child phase. But I would say, you're going to need to get some therapy and figure out what the fuck is going on. And hopefully you are able to empathize with people and realize, like, hey, I would hate it if someone did this to me, so maybe I shouldn't try to manipulate people into thinking that they're terrible people.
It seems like you figured out, that you did wrong and you set the record straight. So, after all, I think that if you understand, since this happened, I assume a long time ago, this could be like an 11-year-old sending us this message.
Yeah.
Also, it says grade 4. So they were in grade 4. Mm-hmm. I assume that you have moved a long way since this has happened, and that you understand. And if you fully understand in your heart that you will never do this again, and if there's any way you can reach out to the people involved, you don't have to reach out to the people involved. I don't think that's necessary. There's no point in opening up old wounds. So I think for this, personally, and if you agree with me, I think we should say that you are forgiven?
Question mark, forgiven? Maybe?
Also we need
as long as you don't do shit like this anymore.
Yes.
And, maybe do 10 or 20 Hail Gormus just to be safe.
Yeah.
It's not necessary.
It's like taking vitamins. I usually do a few every morning. You just gotta cover
all your bases, do some Hail Gormus. Gormu might appreciate that.
Yeah. I'll usually wake up in the morning, go to the mirror and go, Gormu had a lot of sex with a lot of different women last night. Hail Gormu, Hail Gormu, Hail Gormu. I'll be like, I'll one Hail Gormu per like heterosexual women sex that I had. And so I'll go in the mirror and I'll walk
So
up.
you're regularly having
So every
more
woman
than one per night? Wow.
Don't ask me. This is particularly for the confessions. I don't need you to ask me logistics about my sex life. That's disgusting to do in the church. But I'll go up. I'm just giving people an example
Well,
so they
you're
know
the
who
one
to follow.
talking about your sins.
Well, so
in front
people
of
can follow. I
everyone,
don't do a lot of sin. That was just the first thing I could think of. I'll go up to the mirror and I'll say, Gormu, I'm sorry for having heterosexual women sex. And then I'll do a Hail Gormu for every woman I have sex with. So it'll like that night before, so I'll be like, Hail Gormu, Hail Gormu, Hail Gormu, Hail Gormu, Hail Gormu, Hail Gormu, and then sort of something around there, and then I'll wrap it up. So you guys could do that at home.
6 or 7 women in one night. I don't know. To me, it feels like not even really trying to live a sinless life. But, you know, who am I to judge? Only Gormu can judge, right, guys? But
Okay.
all I'm saying is you better not be low-key trying to brag.
I'm not. I'm just trying to help out the church.
Yeah, I know that's what you're going to say. I know you're going to say, I'm not bragging. I'm not, but...
I just think it's a big thing to say. Like, I'll tell you, I'll be honest if I realize that I'm actually trying to brag to the church. But for now, I don't think I am. I think I'm just trying to help out people. And I think people down in the comments below and people who come up to me after every service are going to come up and thank me for being vulnerable.
All I'm saying is if I had sex with 8 men on my boat, I would probably brag about it.
Yeah, because having sex with 8 men on your boat or whatever is okay in the eyes. It's sinless according to Gormu, so obviously you'd feel good about it. I don't feel good about this. I decided to be brave about my sin. Yeah, that is ridiculous, actually.
I think we may have forgotten to say that the few of the first ones are forgiven, so let's just put a blanket.
Just put a blanket.
Aura of forgiveness.
Aura of
forgiveness.
Forgiveness.
Confetti. Throw the confetti. Forgiveness confetti. Everyone is forgiven.
That was a lot of money. That was supposed to be for the next confession day. We bought them in bulk so we could get ahead of it for the next one, and you just whatever. Fine, it's fine.
We can afford these. It's like $5 a bag at Party City, Brother Green. Calm the fuck down. All right.
Okay.
Let's end in a prayer. Thank you all for coming to the service today. Let us open our eyes in jubilee. Gaze into the face of Gormu. Do not blink. And let's just pray about everything that we learned today. Dear Gormu, thank you so much for bringing us together today. Today we heard a story about someone who shit when they come. And I think this is this can be a metaphor for the life that we lead. Sometimes things can be going really well. We feel like we're coming, like we're, like things are just going well for us. But suddenly, shit happens. You can be thinking that your week is going really great, and all of a sudden you get into a car accident or something, and that's pretty similar to shitting when you come. And that just shows that life is unpredictable. So we shouldn't get our life caught up in all the worldly desires. We should focus our lives on you, because if something does happen, if some shit comes out while we're coming through life, we need to be ready and prepared to go and fellowship with you at your house in the afterlife. So this week, just the next time any of you are coming, just think about Gormu and think about the ways that you have to be devoting your lives to him. Praise be.
Praise be. Wow, one of my favorites yet. It's almost hard to even focus on the words you're saying because every single week I spend so much time trying to keep my goddamn eyes open, but it's really more about...
A bit disrespectful. You should be focusing
on if
prayer,
I keep my eyes open, it allows me to suck in more of your prayer, so...
Okay.
But yeah, thank you for that prayer, Brother Beard. Thank you everybody for watching this episode. We're about to go on to patreon.com/FC podcast. You can pay $2 a month. We're about to start the next bonus episode. You get a bonus episode for every single service we shoot. We'll talk for another 20-30 minutes, and you get some extra juicy little content. There's already 300 Gormites in the inner sanctum of our Patreon, so go check it out there. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. It only takes 2 seconds. It is absolutely free, and it inducts you as a Gormite into the Fellowship Covenant. Make sure you check us out on Instagram at Fellowship Covenant, and you can make sure you catch updates from us. And I hope everyone has a great week and goes off in Jubilee. Praise be.
Praise be.
Yeah. undressing. All the miracles are a blessing, impress me. I'm a prophet, yeah. You piss right on the floor, so I mop it, lock it. I'm talking church doors, yeah. Drop that ass down to the church floors. I don't drink pours, that's a sin to my God, so you better take it back more.